Fold, hundredfold.
Gufa.
Nice son-in-laws.
Gufa. We learned before. This has to be a statement from an Amira, because we're using the term Gufa, not Amar. That was our little study that we've been doing. Hamak d'sheila lebedek Bais. This was Ula's statement. Ein bela ikav gizbarim bilvad. If someone consecrates something to the temple fund, a sacrifice, it was a burnt offering, he doesn't owe any money, but the gizbar should stand there by the sacrifice.
Isn't it all burnt completely?
It's burnt completely, but
So,
by the shechita, he's supposed to be there.
What's the value?
Oh, the value
The
is
value
that
comes to the buyers.
No. The value is that if he would lose it, he would need to replace it. That means that the owner has an invested interest in this animal. He's now pledged it again.
Why would somebody pledge an oiler to the Beit HaKabayis is my question. What benefit is there to the upkeep of the temple when it's burned completely?
Oh, so what he's doing is he's pledging the value of this sacrifice to him, to the Beit HaKabayis. What is the value to him if it's totally burnt? Well, if before it gets burnt, it gets lost, and he needs to replace it, so this animal does have real value to him.
So it's the insurance.
It's the insurance value, yeah.
What does the word ikuv mean?
Ikuv,
La'akev.
yeah.
To hold back. So what's the gizbar
That means that the
back?
gizbar needs to be there. The gizbar needs to wait there while the sacrifice is being
It's
brought.
an interesting word.
Yeah.
Ikuv. Ikuv means he can hold someone. No, don't burn it.
Right.
They use hindering here, which is the same word.
Hindering the gizbar to stand there.
Hindering of the offering.
Oh, the waiting of the offering for the gizbar. Waiting of the offering for the gizbar. Okay. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question on the statement of Ula. Hamak d'sheila lebedek Bais asel l'sheichta ad shetifta. He says that he needs to redeem it. What does it mean he's not allowed to shecht it until he redeems it? We said that you shecht it regularly. You shecht it as a regular sacrifice, and the gizbar needs to stand there. The Gemara says midirabanan. Midirabanan, you're supposed to redeem it. And what does this midirabanan mean? Midirabanan, like we said on the top of the page, that it's midirabanan that he owes the money. And midirabanan, he's supposed to give the extra money to the Beit HaKabayis, or Kayanim if it's Rav Huna's din, or Beit HaKabayis if it's Ula's din. It also makes sense that it's midirabanan. Midiktani seifa imavar v'shachta mashasa yasi. If he does shecht it, then it's kosher. Elamai midirabanan. So it must be that it's midirabanan, because if he shechts it, it works. Yachi ema seifa. So now let's read the end of it. Mayil in shtei meilas. But if he uses it for personal use, there's two meilas on it. 1 second. What are the two meilas? This was originally a sacrifice. Then he consecrated it again for Beit HaKabayis. What are the two meilas? The sacrifice meilah. You can't have personal use from a sacrifice. And this is doubly consecrated. It has the consecration of Beit HaKabayis. Use it for personal use. He violates both meilas. We just said that it's really only a sacrifice. The second consecration is only rabbinic. It's not really. It's just something that he's supposed to give. But biblically, it's not there. So how could you say two me'ilas if one of them is only rabbinic?
It's not the same animal. He's
It's the
taking
same
the
animal.
vow. That doesn't make sense. I thought that was the whole original
Right.
Mishnah, that you can't switch one thing to another, this and that. But when it's talking about the values, you can give an identical value or beneficial value that you can do.
Right. So here we're seeing something. Originally, when we were learning this Gemara, we learned that he just owes extra. This is a sacrifice, and he owes extra money. Now we're learning that he could redeem it and give the money to the temple. Oh, what it means is he redeems it, give the money to the temple. Redeeming it means that he gives the money to the temple, and this thing is still a sacrifice. That's what it means.
Still need the two.
Right. So, how are the two meilas if it's only rabbinic? It says, "Imi derabanan amayshte meilas." So it says, "Hachi kamar ru'uya limal b'shtei meilas." It's not that there's actually two meilas. It means it's could have been two me'ilas. If it would actually work, it would be. What we meant is that if it would work, it would be two me'ilas, but it actually doesn't. Now we learn to Mesa Yikbru. Okay. This is an interesting Gemara. Reb Shimon argues with the Tanakama. Reb Shimon says that Kachibed the Kabayas, if they die, you can still redeem it. The Rabbanan say that no, you bury it. There's no redemption there. What does it mean, redeem it? You could sell it for people can use the dead meat to feed their dogs. Someone consecrated this to the temple and it died. So the temple will try to get whatever money they can get out of this. So they'll sell it.
So the person has to bring a different one, and this is what's like now, even though it's
well, if he consecrated this itself, he doesn't have to bring a different one. He consecrated this to the temple, and then it dies.
Under whose ownership?
It was his own animal. He consecrated it for the temple, and it died. And the temple could sell it, according to Reb Shimon, as meat for a dog. And
that was
the value, that was a machlekes, but the value of it will go to the temple, and the temple will make something on it. So, but the Tanakama said no. If it dies, they have to bury it. We don't let the temple sell this just for it to be fed to the dogs. Maybe the owner selling it. Maybe the owner selling it because the owner has to give whatever value it is to continue to the temple. Maybe that's the shot. The question over here is, what do the Rabbanan hold? Reb Shimon was very clear. Reb Shimon says that you can redeem it. But what do the Rabbanan hold? In what case was Reb Shimon talking about? Bedek Habayis. Rabbi Yochanan. So we're going to have here a machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. And the machlekes is going to be what's the opinion of the Rabbanan. So it's a machlekes in what's the machlekes. Rabbi Yochanan, l'Rabbanan, echad kachi mizbeach v'echad kachi bedek habayis hayu b'chlal hamad v'aracha. Really, we only redeem animals ever if they can stand up. Whether it's a sacrifice or whether it's to the temple fund, only if they can stand and be evaluated will we evaluate them. But we'll evaluate their worth. But once they die, there's no more evaluation, and they get buried. So in other words, when you go back and we look at the Mishnah, it says, the Mesu Yikbru is talking about whether it was a sacrifice or bedek habayis. Rish Lakish Amar, l'Rabbanan, kachi bedek habayis hayu b'chlal hamad v'arach. Kachi mizbeach lo hayu b'chlal hamad v'arach. Rish Lakish says differently. He says, bedek habayis, granted, if it dies, gets buried. He agrees with the Rabbanan about bedek habayis. Rish Lakish says that he agrees with Rabbi Yochanan. But now, Kachim Mizbeach, he argues with Rabbi Yochanan, and he says, Kachim Mizbeach, really, you could redeem them even if they die. And the meat, the sacrificial meat, could be fed to the dogs. Even after it's dead, you can still redeem that meat. Both Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish agree, the Reb Shimon, that what's Reb Shimon's opinion, the Kachim Bedek Habayis lo hayu b'chlal hamad v'aracha. Obviously, Bedek Habayis could still be redeemed, because Reb Shimon says that in the Mishnah. But Kachim Mizbeach, what does Reb Shimon hold about a sacrifice? Hayu b'chlal hamad v'aracha cannot be redeemed. It needs to stand up. Once it's dead, it can't be redeemed. V'divrei hakol, and everyone agrees, Bal mummi kari lo hayu b'chlal hamad v'aracha, if someone consecrates something that was blemished before the consecration. So over there's no problem of making it stand up in order to redeem it. He could have, for all we care, consecrated a piece of wood, and you would redeem it anyway, even though you can't stand it up. Maybe you can, if it's a thin stick, whatever. But that means like to stand up. You can't. And there's a redemption for its value. So if you consecrate an animal that had a blemish, you're going to redeem it even if it dies. Okay. Tanan. We're going to ask some questions over here because we have a Mishnah where we have Reb Shimon's opinion, and there's a machlekes, Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, what their Rabbanan's opinion. We're going to be medayek in the words of Reb Shimon if we can extrapolate what the opinion of the rabbis is, and then we'll be able to ask a question on one of these opinions. Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. It says, Reb Shimon Aimer Kachi Bedek Habayis Shemesu Yiftu. temple fund, the animals that died get redeemed. You redeem them. According to Rabbi Yochanan, that says the rabbis argue on both cases. That's why when Reb Shimon comes in, he has to say which case he's arguing with. Kachi Bedek Abayis gets redeemed. According to Reish Lakish, that says that only Bedek Abayis gets buried, and Reb Shimon is only arguing on that case. But Kachi Mizbeach anyways was not buried. So Lema Mesu Yiftu. He's only arguing on the one case. Why does he have to explain Kachi Bedek Abayis? Just say Yiftu. That's the only case that they're talking about. So it must be that Rabbi Yochanan's Reish is correct. Rabbi Yochanan is correct that the fact that Rabbi Shimon needs to elaborate on which case he's dealing with. Amalach Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish would say like this: Rabbi Shimon le'avi other my the Amar Tanakama. Rabbi Shimon doesn't know what the Tanakama's opinion is. V'achi Kamar le'i. This is what he's saying. Ibekatshim mizbeach medin alach. If you hold this as well by a sacrifice that you redeem it, that you don't redeem it, then that I'll agree with you. But because Bedek Abayis and Mesu Yiftu. But when it comes to Bedek Abayis, for that I'm going to argue. So in other words, Reb Shimon is like walking into the conversation, not hearing all the details of the beginning, and that's why Reb Shimon is explaining what his opinion is. It's like people would say, "I'm not sure what you're talking about, but all I can say is." That's how the Gemara is reading this. Okay. Tani Kavasei de Rabbi Yochanan, we have a brisa that fits with Rabbi Yochanan. In Behema Sheyakriv Menu, we're quoting a pasuk. It says, if an animal that you'll bring from it, what are we talking about? The balimum shiftu akasim medaber, we're talking about a sheniftu. An animal that had a mum. Atayim balimum, and you say that you're dealing with an animal that has a mum, maybe you're dealing with actually an animal that was never kosher. We have another pasuk that discusses a non-kosher animal that you redeem it. So we already know behema tmeya, non-kosher animal. That first pasuk that we mentioned. We're talking about animals that were redeemed. We're on top of page Lamed Gimel. Yachol yiftu al mumayfer. Maybe you can redeem it for a temporary mum. That you don't bring from it. She'ena kreva kol ikar. That's only if it's never possible to be brought. This is different because it's not brought today, but it is brought tomorrow. It's a mumayfer. It's a temporary mum. What's the pasuk telling me? What's the Eibishter telling me? That pasuk is saying that you need to stand it up. So we're talking about here any animal that could be brought for a sacrifice needs to be stood up to do the evaluation, and that's contrary to what Reish Lakish held, where Reish Lakish held that no, even you could redeem it even if it died. Okay.
What does everybody want to eat tomorrow for breakfast?